I'm Rosemary Richards, presenting my field essay which has the theme of isolation, and how isolation can cause humans to morally regress and let evil consume them. In Lord of the Flies by William Golding, the boys commit a horrible act by killing Piggy, described as, "The rock struck Piggy, a glancing blow from chin to knee. The conch exploded into 1,000 white fragments and ceased to exist. Piggy, saying nothing with no time for even a grunt, traveled through the air sideways to the rock, turning over as he went. Piggy fell 40 feet and landed on his back across the square red rock in the sea. His head opened and stuff came out and turned red." Golding, 181. After several months of being on an isolated island, the boys forgot about the laws and customs of their home in Britain. The isolation caused the shedding of the taboo of their old life. Just like how the young men were completely isolated from any forms of civilization, my sister and I are completely isolated in the middle of the ocean in Belize. Melinda in the novel Speak by Laurie Anderson is a freshman in high school who gets raped when she is alone at a party and thus completely isolates herself afterwards and develops severe depression. She says, "I just want to sleep, a coma would be nice, or amnesia, anything just to get rid of these thoughts, whispers in my mind. Did he rape my head too?" Anderson 165. After being alone and vulnerable with no friends because she thought they would never believe her story, the evil act of being raped consumed her every thought. She began to let the guilt and shame of her rape, which was done by an evil older boy, turn into a deep depression and self-hate that resonated within herself. He found a vulnerable girl and got her alone to take advantage of her. Just like how evil waits eagerly for isolation and vulnerability in order to take over one's soul, my dog is eagerly waiting for the treat in my hand. In the poem Snake by D.H. Lawrence, the boy regresses to his evil ways by killing an innocent snake, saying, "I looked around, I put down my pitcher, I picked up a clumsy log and threw it at the water through with a clatter." Lawrence 2. The boy made sure he was alone so that he could get away with murdering the snake. Alone with no authority, he was able to regress back to his primitive and violent nature that is normally discouraged in public and civilized settings. Just like how he let the evil human nature consume him, this devil cactus plant is consuming the tree and stealing its nutrients like a parasite. When humans are left alone for long periods of time, evil tendencies will consume them and steal their happiness and learn civil nature. The Meme Society of West Sepik interior of Papua New Guinea, the villagers do not value human flesh over the pigs or marsupials because human flesh is part of their diet. Nagio 2. Cannibalism is the essence of evil in the article because they consume human flesh recreationally. Most Western parts of the world only participate in survival cannibalism. Since the cannibals are isolated from Western culture, they are free to commit evil cannibalism without repercussions. Just like how the cannibals are isolated socially from advanced societies, my dog is isolated from his own society of dogs in the dog park. In The Rose for Emily by William Faulkner, the story concludes with the discovered murder of her missing ex-lover, saying, "Then we noticed that in the second pillow was the indentation of a head. One of us lifted something from it, and leaning forward, that faint and invisible dust dry and acrid in the nostrils, we saw a long strand of iron gray hair." Faulkner 101. Emily was odd and isolated herself from her community and was able to become over-obsessed with her new lover and making sure he stays with her. Because she had been isolated, she began to think it was rational to kill him so that she could keep him forever. This picture of clouds represents this situation because when a small part of a cloud starts to drift away, it often goes farther and farther, making it harder to return. Similarly, Emily could not return to her community because of being isolated for so long, which made it easier to have a distorted view of relationships. In The Lottery, a short story by Shirley Jackson, the townspeople stone one person a year for good harvest. Jackson describes, "The children had stones already, and someone gave little Davy hints and a few pebbles." Jackson 7. The people of the small town carried on the disturbing ritual of killing citizens for so long because they ignored all influence from urban civilization, isolating themselves and looking down on the urban people for straying from such an old tradition. This can be compared to me and my sister on top of Mayan temple looking down on others, yet completely isolated from them. Vampires face isolation as well. Vampire experts say that the biggest problem they usually face is loneliness. Their social isolation is exacerbated by the fact that true vampires tend to be biochemically nocturnal. In this article about traditional vampire lifestyle and origin, it mentions the complete isolation of vampires from the rest of society. They can see mortal humans but are unable to communicate because of their cold exterior and bizarre behavior, which makes them be viewed as a monster. This makes it easier for them to commit evil acts because they have no attachment to humans emotionally. Similarly, my little sister is underwater, trapped from the outside world, and is able to be alone with her anger and emotions with no attachment whatsoever.